our speaker systems, we use 3 different brands currently. Here at Fred, we have what's called D&B is the brand, D&B. That is our preferred brand. Moving forward, any new developments or projects will be in that, given that we have the money to afford that. They're not cheap, but they are very, very, very good. And that's what we're after, is very good. So given that we're able to afford that, we will always use D&B when possible. Previously to that, our previous integrator of choice was used a lot of Meyer products, so we still have a lot of Meyer products. So 2 of our campuses, as well, 2 of our portable campuses, as well as the Spaatzy campus, are on Meyer rigs. Meyer is a brand. John and Helen Meyer live in Berkeley, California, just outside San Francisco. They started that. He particularly is a brilliant audio engineer person. I'm sure he has like a doctorate in acoustasonics and physics and stuff like that. And then the third brand we use is Martin. Our Richmond and King George campuses are using a Martin product. And I'll tell you about the differences and why they're each like that. There's 2 different types of speakers. There's passive and active. Okay, with an active speaker, the amplifier is actually in the speaker. Okay, so you send a power cable to it, and you send a signal cable to it, and the amplification is happening in the speaker, right, and it's sending out the signal. With a passive system, you have amplifiers that stay on the ground in a rack, and you send just a signal cable up to the speaker. So a couple different methods. Okay, so with a passive system, each speaker is lighter weight. So in our campuses where we're cranking up towers and hanging them, we wanted a lighter weight option, and so that's why we went with the Martin brand for that. Excuse me. And then, like I said, we have some Meyer systems as well from previous decisions that are still around. All 3 of these brands are great brands. There's no like, oh, that's lesser than. They're all great products. For what we do, what we decided moving forward, we are a D&B house. We like that sound. We like the way those products work. That's what we're going for. But again, just in terms of, especially for you portables, in terms of troubleshooting or just knowledge and understanding, it is Meyer and Martin. Okay, so we talked about a line array and how that is an array of speakers hanging in a vertical column and what the benefits are of that. So I'm sorry, I don't normally talk this much, so my voice is getting dry from talking. So a line array would be an array of speakers hanging in a vertical column, and the benefit of that is it gives us more precision control to put audio where we want it to be and not where we don't want it to be, okay? Subs or subwoofers, sub cabinets, those are all things that they're typically larger speakers, typically 18 or sometimes even larger inches each, and each box typically holds at least 2 of those drivers. A driver meaning 1 speaker, so two 18-inch speakers in the subs. And subs typically handle, as Ryan said, from 20 hertz up to around 80, plus or minus 10 or 15, depending on the system, 80 hertz. And so they're just handling the low-end information, kick drums, bass drums, maybe the floor toms, some track information, but that's what those are for. Or we talked about point source speaker, which is a single speaker splaying out. Every speaker has a coverage pattern. Typically, it's about 50 degrees vertically and 90 degrees horizontally. So if your campus director asks, hey, can we get a speaker on a stick out here to play music? That's called a point source speaker, 1 single speaker. And like I said, in terms of coverage, if you're putting multiple things out together, multiple speakers, if you know it's 90 degrees wide, you can center it up and then hold your arms out 45 degrees, and that's how wide your speaker is covering. Okay? That's great. PA stands for public address. So that's more often referred to the entire system. You wouldn't refer to an individual speaker as, hey, bring me that PA, or grab those PAs. Okay? The PA is the entire public address system. It's kind of crafted out in the old school days, right? Hello, please report to the office. You know, so it's public address. So that's kind of that. Front fills will be the speakers that go on the front of the stage to cover the area before the main arrays, where they can't cover in the center or where they're maybe too high to cover the very front rows. You have front fills to fill in those spaces there. Outfills would be in a wide room such as this, and also at Spotsy, we have speakers that are pointed outwards from the main arrays to cover the extreme sides. Again, the main array is covering 85 to 90% of the room, and we're using other speakers to fill in those spaces. A delay speaker would be something that's hung out further beyond the audience to cover into a further back area or into a corner. It's called a delay because we talked about time and alignment. If we had two speakers in separate planes in terms of depth like this, if the sound was coming out at the same time, they would not be in time. So in terms of delay, the sound comes out of the mains first. As that sound travels, at the point where it lines up, we keep them in sync together. So this one is delayed by ever how many feet, roughly. It's roughly 1 millisecond per foot. And so as sound comes out of the mains, these are delayed until the signal gets there and they go forward together. That's why it's called delay. Cool.